Ooh. It's Friday night live. It's Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon live?
Yeah, Friday after. That doesn't have quite the same catchy ring as Saturday Night Live, but
that's true. I like the Australians, I think, use the slang arvo for afternoon, and I feel like that would be snappier, but I don't feel right using it without the cool accent.
They do. And
it's awesome.
They do sound cooler because they have an accent. They like to cut things in half and then throw an O at the end.
Yeah.
That's kind of their jam. So, shall we get into it? Because I'm ready.
Let's do it.
I'm so ready.
And I'm new to the Natalia Grace world here. So it's my first time in.
Wow.
And so
it's a lot to soak up at once.
I learned a lot in the last 36 hours.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't know you had to watch the first season first when I asked you if you could cover notes on this.
I'll admit I had to abridge a little, and I went back and listened to the TSFU podcast version of the story.
Ayo.
And that was super. I think that gave me everything I need to know, because then I looked up some news stories and I was like, oh, they covered it all. I'm good. I didn't have time.
Yeah, we did.
Or the heart to watch 12 episodes in a day.
Oh my God. Also, you know what? I kind of feel like after this, I want to boycott Investigation Discovery or ID, whatever. Just isn't Discovery owns TLC too, right? Just all of it. It's all garbage. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why Max partnered up with them, because HBO is golden TV. It's like television elevated.
And good documentaries usually too.
Yeah.
This is some Netflix level shit.
Yeah, and sometimes Netflix does come out with, a really good one, but this one is total clickbait drama propaganda to leave people wondering, instead of to definitively stand up for this woman who is now a woman, was a child. Mm-hmm. But let's get into it. So, hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is That's So Forked Up, the podcast. We are doing our documentary reviews on YouTube, and they're mostly unedited, if you guys haven't noticed, because, well, we're pumping them out pretty quick right after Gypsy. And, we're recording them on YouTube first. So if you do want to catch them a couple days early, then you can go do that on our YouTube at TSFU, the podcast live. But yeah, I hope you guys are kind of enjoying the little bit of behind the scenes magic, what we do when it's just me and Fallon, what we do when it's me and Fallon pretending to be aware of other people while we're live. But no, we interact with the audience and stuff a bit. What's up, Alicia and Brendan? Hi, guys. So definitely come hang out with us. It's super fun, and you get the content early.
Awesome.
But if you are listening to this announcement, you are on the podcast feed, and welcome to this. We're your hosts. I'm Ashley Love Richards.
And I'm Fallon Morey.
And we are about to tell you guys about the curious case of Natalia Grace, Season 2, Natalia Speaks, Episode 3.
Woof.
Mouthful.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And this episode is called By Any Means Necessary.
Mm-hmm. And if you missed the first two recaps that I did with the lovely Shantae Pitts, where we got quite unhinged, it was a really good time, then those are available on the podcast and the YouTube. So if you're like, what? Why are you starting at episode 3? Well, we're not, silly. Go listen to the episodes before this, episodes 1 and 2. But we were here. We've been here. We know what's going on. So let's get into episode 3. I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm so
ready.
Now
my screen needs to come back. Sorry, I was trying to get my screen. All right. So This starts right out with a quick recap of Michael storming out after the interaction with Natalia and Antoine, and Natalia starts right out saying, I thought it would be a normal thing. I could just talk to him and hear him out, and then this happens. And they flash back to Michael storming out and screaming, I tried.
Oh
She
my
said,
God, dude. I'm sorry, but you missed the sickest reenactment last night because I
Ugh.
reenacted. I tried. Oscar winning.
I'm
Like,
gonna go back and rewatch it after this.
you probably
'cause
should because
I
honestly, it
need
was
to.
amazing. Like, I killed it.
I'm sure you did.
I
Um,
tried. Mhm.
Natalia still has stuff to ask him, like, why wasn't he brave enough to get me out of that house? That's a direct quote. Antoine comes back in and he says Michael's spirit is irritated and basically he shouldn't keep blaming another person for his issues. Like he shouldn't be blaming Christine because Christine didn't make him do all this, and he says he needs to man up and stop being a whiny baby.
I agree with the latter part of that statement for sure.
Yeah. So Natalia notes that he's running away just like every other time, such as, he walked out when she would try to defend herself before. He walked out anytime stuff was happening or conveniently like didn't interfere when stuff was happening to her. As we know, seems to be pretty common thread here. So
Michael sucks.
he's not my favorite. We cut over to Beth Karras, who's a named legal expert, and she says that based upon what is known at this point, the Barnetts were obviously determined to re-age Natalia as an adult. And that's kind of what we're going to get into through the whole episode. And Christine will stop at nothing to make sure that this happens.
For real.
She's ruthless. I was.
Oh my God.
Ugh. There's so much in this documentary that made me like pause it and go, what the?
Just yell at the screen.
Yes, I was just checking if we were, beyond our.
We are. I mean, I feel like we should be allowed to square to discuss. What?
Okay, like what the fuck? So they go back to Michael's deposition from earlier March 20th of 2023, and the prosecutor asks him about when he confronted Natalia about her menstrual cycle, and he says Natalia told him she was hiding it because she didn't want him to know. He stated that she told him she wipes it off with her hands and then eats it so no one will ever find out. And he says this all in like a mimicking baby voice, like I guess trying to say, like he goes, she said she wipes it away and then eat, like he's like mimicking her voice. It's really obnoxious.
Ew, I hate him so much.
Oh, I hate him so much.
Also, I doubt Natalia said that she eats her menstrual blood.
Well, Natalia was like, that's downright disgusting and crazy. Like that's her exact words.
Michael says the wildest shit on television. It blows my mind.
And I want to put a trigger out there because this to me is borderline, like, to me, it feels like borderline essay. She said what really happened was Christine came into the bathroom and said, you have your period. And when Natalia said, no, I don't, Christine forced her to put a tampon in to prove that she had a period. She said she was 7. She was scared. It really hurt. And so when she couldn't do it, she got mad at her and Natalia pulled it out and there was blood on it. And then Christine said, see, you have your period. You're lying. And Natalia at this point starts sobbing and saying how scared and how upset and sad she was. And they have to cut away from her. Ugh.
I feel like if it looks like my feet, like my computer froze because my face has been frozen in this
grimace of horror.
I think that's a great explanation for the last however the fuck long you were saying that. Oh no.
Oh. So Beth Karras says that if what Natalia says is true, then Christine was forcing an age on her using abuse to prove her age. Christine was forcing an age on her and then using abuse to prove her age. And Christine obviously is going to do anything to make sure Natalia fits her narrative. But what doesn't fit Christine's narrative is that several other doctors have already told the Barnetts that Natalia is between the ages of 7 and 11, and they show a post-placement report document on the screen saying the chronological stated age was 6 years, 9 months, but her skeletal maturity is 8 years and 4 months. Regardless of that discrepancy, she's still a child.
How the fuck do you do that to a child who's already, been through living in an orphanage and now you're her third adoption family? You know that she's like 7, 8 years old, and you're fucking torturing her and assaulting her physically, sexually. Yeah, you didn't even know, huh? You didn't know how bad this case was. So you've been in for a fun ride, huh?
It was a illuminating hour of my life, that's for sure. So according to both Natalia and Michael, Natalia was beaten by Christine until she breaks and finally starts saying she's 22 while Michael just sits and watched. And at this point, Beth says that, she says, I don't usually share personal stuff, but I grew up with 2 disabled brothers, and I know my own mother would have done anything for me and for them. And Natalia deserved the kind of love from a mother and didn't get it.
It's a really effective way to get people to say what you want them to say.
Beat the shit out of them?
Yeah, torture. It's
torture.
I mean, throughout time, they've been using that. It's been really effective.
Christine, Natalia recounts a time where Christine took her to her room and started to hit her with a belt on the back, legs, and anywhere she could. She said she tried to move, but Christine would say, stop moving, and then just hit her harder. Natalia was terrified, obviously, and in pain. So when Christine would tell her, tell people you're 22, she listened because she said, like she says, she doesn't know what Christine would do to her or what she would make her do, as you see in the previous,
right,
example. And she's like, these people were supposed to be the ones that took care of me, and they did this, and Michael just watched it happen. Like, and she's also visibly crying again in this. Watching her cry for an hour was just tearing my heart out.
I'm horsing it up today, just left and right. I can't not. Yeah. I don't.
I just gotta truck through it. I'm putting on if I were
truck through it. Keep trucking.
If I were a construction vehicle, I'm putting the plow on the front, and I'm just going.
You're trucking on through. Get it. You do it. You got it.
But I wish I could light this dumpster on fire like Centralia and just let the whole thing burn.
You guys,
out
if you're
brain.
What is Centralia? It's like the
fire.
real town of Silent Hill, the movie and game. It's a town that's legit been on fire for 6
years.
decades. Yeah, a really long time. It's still on fire.
Still on fire right now.
Yeah.
They go back to Michael's deposition, and he was recounting that Christine would beat Natalia open hand and with her forearms. When her hands and arms got tired, she used her fist and her elbow, basically just until she ran out of steam and couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, no, my computer's not frozen. That's just I can't get my face to make any other face.
He said he was frozen, and this is what he says, between a potential sociopathic con artist and, on the other hand, the wife and mother of my children, and he didn't know what to do. So he just... apathy, I guess, is the way to go in a situation where a child is being abused and, someone else is doing it.
Also, just if you guys haven't seen pictures of Natalia as a child, I highly recommend you look them up because she's very much... looks like a child. She very much obviously has a physical disability, and she's cute as a motherfucking button.
She's so cute.
So I don't know how the fuck evil. I mean, I guess that's what it is, right? It's just evil.
It's evil. It's all evil. The I guess there's a retired police detective. His name's Brandon Davenport. He's with the Indiana State Police. And he said Michael had the obligation to protect her as a father to a daughter. And he failed. Go back to Natalia, who says that Michael just watched from the other room. She was locked in her room the rest of the night of like the big beating, and she cried herself to sleep. There's an interview then with Veronica Maxwell, who's a retired FBI special agent, and she says that if what Natalia said is true, the type of extreme force used and dominant behavior over Natalia tells her that there was a monster that operated in Christine.
Also, in the previous docuseries, or in the previous season, Jacob says that Christine had the boys pee on Natalia's bed and her stuff. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like the humiliation and degradation of that, it's just like, this woman is the devil. And so is Michael for letting it happen.
Well, so I'm listening to this, right? I'm watching this, having just watched the first bit of the first season, and Michael makes a comment like about how many Lamborghinis were in his driveway or something, and how many TVs he has, and was like, and then like a couple of years later, I had 37 cents in my bank account, and I would have had all of it still, and my wife and my family, except for this girl. And I'm like, then I listen to this, and I'm like, you don't deserve any of that shit. And then B,
wait till you hear the next episode. Just wait. Okay, I'm gonna
anyway.
Yeah.
So Christine, she says, was gonna dominate and be the winner. That's the aim of her game. She was trying to drill into Natalia's head that she was an adult. Natalia, they show interviewing with Veronica, and she asks, have you ever worked with someone that was brainwashed or told what to say? And Veronica's like, yeah, there are so many layers to your case. That's why I wanted to get involved. She believes in, facing her fears, and she kind of admires Natalia for being willing to continue doing so. And Natalia says, well, I don't want to talk about them, but I have to. They cut, and then they cut to this. Made me almost cry. They cut to a video of Christine saying to Natalia, she's got a camera like right here in her face, like up in her face, and says, we're going to have to take you to a doctor. Do you want to go to a doctor? And she looks really scared, and she's like, I don't know. And it reminds me of like videos in scary movies where they tape like the person they kidnapped like right in front of their face and like threaten them. It's that level of like intimidation. And I was like, it made me furious.
Okay. Ashley, breathe.
I know.
I was holding my breath the whole time. I was holding my breath the whole time you were talking. Brendan said if they did this to prisoners of war, it would be war crimes. Yeah, absolutely. Like
100%.
Fucking insane.
But why were they trying to make 22 years old the magic number? And the former prosecutor named Jackie Starbuck, which is a cool name. She says that Christine was at the point where she was getting Natalia to introduce herself by saying, I may look young, but I'm 22. It was just like a little phrase she would parrot. Indiana law states that a parent is responsible for that child until the child is emancipated at age 21. So the Barnetts believed that they would have been responsible until age 21.
Which is why 22 was a great number to go with. Huh?
We're safe. We're in safe territory.
I just wanted to make a quick caveat too, because as of right now, I don't know how these will be edited. They might not be edited really at all. So in case they don't get edited, if you're listening on the podcast and you're like, who the hell is Brendan? It's somebody in our live chat right now, you guys. So if you come and watch us tell our stories, then maybe we'll highlight one of your comments. Ooh. Anywho,
it's going to be fun. More fun than watching this video. So not our video, the documentary. So
yeah.
Beth, what is she?
Legal expert?
The legal expert. Yes, sorry. She says that the Barnetts were looking for a foolproof plan, and there were 3 prongs to it. The first was to re-age Natalia. The second was to get her in a psych ward. And the third was to get her in prison. And we cut back to Michael saying that the first time Natalia ended up at the stress center, it was because of pledge in the coffee. And I know that you covered this during the first episode you did on Natalia Grace, like way back when.
Mm-hmm.
Natalia, the way that the parents tell it is Natalia was doing well that morning. She asked to help Christine clean up the kitchen. Christine starts cleaning up, goes to the other room, and her coffee is on the counter. Michael says that Natalia pours pledge into her coffee cup. Christine tastes it, and it tastes like pledge, so she starts screaming. Michael comes in and says, you know, why did you put this in here? And Natalia says, because I want to kill you. Natalia says, that's not true. That's not who she is. She said she was helping clean and they were spraying something on the counter, and Christine walked out, so she noticed a spot that needed more. So she pushed her coffee out of the way. She sprayed the stuff. She's on her little stool. She cleans up. Christine comes back, and the first thing she looks and says is, what did you put in my coffee? Natalia's like, I didn't put anything in your coffee. Christine dumps out her coffee, refills it, gets a new cup of coffee, holds Natalia's hand over the spray bottle, and gets her camera and makes her like spray it in while she videotapes it.
Oh my God. I know they videotaped so much shit trying to be like, look at how evil she is. It's like, okay, or you coached a child to do that for the camera.
So, the Barnetts had convinced themselves that Natalia was an adult and a violent sociopath. So it was time to convince
themselves
the world.
You think so?
No, I think they knew exactly what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think they convinced
I
themselves.
think they
knew they were torturing a child.
I think they were shit-tastic people who thought, ooh, this will help my public image. We'll adopt a girl with special needs. Oh, wait, it's hard to take care of her and expensive. Forget it. We'll just pretend she's 22 and abandon her.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist. Yeah. You guys, breathe. Everybody.
See, I'm becoming a horse, and that never happens.
It feels natural for what's happening. It's just it's exasperation.
Ugh. So they start telling the neighbors. So Christine calls up one of her neighbors and says basically then they have a voiceover from a neighbor. Christine calls her neighbor and says, you know, I've been poisoned. What do I do? So the neighbor tells her, you need to call poison control. You need to make yourself throw up. Also, you need to go check the girl's room and see what's going on. So she comes over to their house, the nosy neighbor. They find a match and rubbing alcohol under Natalia's bed, supposedly. The neighbor says that Natalia said she was going to set the house on fire. And the neighbor's like, well, you probably wouldn't be able to get away fast enough. And supposedly Natalia says, I don't care if I go with them. And then she said, the neighbor says that she looked at her then and said, well, I don't care if something happens to you too. Or that something might happen to you too. So the neighbor says she threatened
Why would
them.
the neighbor be making this up? Which is what's happening, obviously, because that's not. That
I don't
can't
know.
be true.
Or Christine.
I'm just not buying that she was trying to kill the family.
No, I mean, she's at this point, she's what? She says later, I was a 37-pound 8-year-old. What was I?
Jesus
what was I gonna do?
You just put your fucking hand out and on. It's like, okay, stop coming towards me. I could fight a 37-pound person off, and I'm
right,
not strong.
Right. I have a 37-pound person at my house right now, and they're very easy. You can just pick them up and hold them away like this.
Yeah, you're like, okay, don't stab me. I'm going to hold you over here.
Right over here. Whatever. So I have experience. I have a 37-pounder.
That sounds so weird out of context.
Does sound weird.
What's 37? What is? Yeah.
So Natalia said that she starts hearing, Christine and Michael telling the doctor all sorts of crazy stuff, specifically she's hiding knives. Michael says, yeah, I got 2. He's on a another one of his depositions, he says, yeah, I have 2 years of doctor's notes saying that, you know, all this stuff has happened with her. Natalia then watches Michael saying that she was going to kill the family, and that he and Christine woke up one night to Natalia standing at the foot of their bed with a knife, which I know is like a famous thing. And Natalia is like, sort of her tone of voice is like, what a bunch of dumbasses. And she's like exasperated because she's like, okay, that's a lie. I never did that. And not only that, I can't even see above eye level. Their bed is like up to here on me. Like, I don't even come up above the top of their bed because their bed is so much taller. She's like, I wasn't even taller than the bedpost. How would they have seen
so
me?
frustrated. People being like, so I heard that you like, and you're like, really, dude? I physically could not do that.
She was like, and not only that, I was 8 years old and 37 pounds. Like, how was I going to really overpower like 2 adults? And I can't bend my fingers to grip a knife like that. And they show her in her apartment or whatever. And she's like, look, I don't, like, just because of the way my fingers bend, I can't hold a knife. And she shows herself like gripping it. She's like, I can't hold it like this for much longer than just this. And it hurts because it makes my muscles do something they really can't do. And she said, yeah, everything that Christine made up, she got off that movie Orphan.
Oh, totally. Which was based off of a real case that is honest. Like, maybe definitely in the top 5 craziest things I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. The actual case that the movie Orphan is based off of, and then Christine took the plot of the movie Orphan like a dumbass. But Brendan asks, is there actual doctors that match up with these notes? Specialists have documented this.
Well, and they are going to get it. We're going to get into this in a few minutes, but basically the majority of all of their doctor proof is one family doctor that they'd had like a personal family relationship with since Michael was younger. And so he knows the family. So it's very skewed. So in June of 2012, Natalia gets committed to LaRue Carter Psychiatric Facility. And they show a text from Michael to Christine that says, I'm feeling good about the Natalia situation. And she's getting committed to a state crazy hospital right where she belongs. She's a terrible demon possessed soul.
Also, just a little heads up, in the next episode, Michael says that the day that they adopted Natalia was one of the top 5 best days of his life.
Yeah, he said that in the first episode, like barring all the stuff that came later, like out of context, it was one of the 5 best days of my life. I love it when I bring someone into my home to torture.
Okay, Michael. Dude, maybe watch old interviews of yourself before you go and do new interviews.
Natalia said she didn't know what type of hospital she was going to, but she remembers being admitted and said it was like, you know, an old-timey hospital from a movie, super creepy. They take her to an empty room. There's white sheets, there's white walls. And she said all she remembers is the only thing that's not white are the straps tied to the bed. And when she asked the nurse, what are those for? The nurse says, hopefully we don't need those, but they're there if you try to hurt yourself. They lock her into the room alone. She's 8 years old in an empty room alone, and she's terrified. She said she laid down in the dark and was just terrified. A lot of 8-year-olds are also scared of the dark, like FYI. So, like, this is also super traumatizing. I was too. Beth says, conveniently, the judge who decided on an emergency petition to have Natalia re-aged did so while she was in the hospital. So the Barnett's plan comes right together. She said she had no idea she was being re-aged while she was in the hospital. She was in the kids section, and then they just one day came in and said, you're an adult now, you're moving to the adult section.
Oh my God.
And they moved her to the adult ward of a psychiatric hospital. They show an interview asking Michael if the family doctor wrote a letter, and they say, you know, do you think that 22 is an accurate age for her at that time? And he definitely like pauses for a minute. He's like, yep. I think that's about right.
Yeah. Totally.
Cool. Yeah. So, the only 2 people that wrote documents to this judge that gave him the evidence he needed to change her age by like 15 years was a social worker named Susan Witten, who was not a medical doctor, that wrote letters alleging Natalia was schizophrenic, and
She wasn't a
their
medical
family
doctor?
Well, no, they got one from her. She was a licensed social worker, and one from their family doctor. Michael said
This
that
licensed social worker should get her fucking license taken away.
Well, when you study to be a licensed social worker, you do study psychological disorders and you have the ability to help people with those problems, but it shouldn't come down to a letter from her and a letter from her their family doctor that has no like medical evidence in it. The letter is like says all this stuff like, I was fooled by Natalia just like everybody else. Like, it's not a doctor letter. It's like a, it's crazy.
A witness, like a character witness letter.
Okay, and this is the part you did not warn me about. There's a text exchange and between Michael and Christine, and Michael says McLaren's letter is awesome. Christine replies, awesome. Does it say autism? Michael says, yeah, once in a century brain. Christine says, yes, McLaren, love you. Like,
okay, breathe, Ashley. Oh my God. Oh my, I'm gonna schmurder on my mind. I hate them. And they're just like chilling. They got away with it. These fucking fucks.
So they show a police recording by Detective Davenport, who's asking the doctor, Dr. McLaren, okay, if the Barnetts keep bringing Natalia to you and saying she's an adult and older than she seems, wouldn't you start to see that? Like, wouldn't your personal relationship with them play in? And the doctor's like, I see what you're getting at. Yeah, like relations affect things. That's definitely possible. The letters he wrote
take his fucking license.
Seriously, the letters he wrote are not positive about Natalia. It says Natalia is a con artist. The Barnetts are victims. He was lied to. And the former prosecutor they interviewed said prosecutors have never heard doctors make such claims in their like submissions for court. Like, that's not something doctors say.
She's a con artist. Is that your medical opinion, sir?
I was fooled. Like it sounds like something someone says in a romance novel.
You fool. How dare you? We just sighed at the same time.
We're connected. Natalia says that multiple doctors has said she was between 7 and 12. Multiple doctors, and she's like, but this one doctor writes one letter and that's all that they use in court. And
also, yeah, what was the judge thinking? Why is everybody so stupid? I hate them all so much. Like, literally, they all had to conspire to be either so dumb or so stupid for all of these events to happen.
My husband was like, is this your documentary week about popular documentary weeks, or is this like your week about adults that fail children? And I was like, yes.
Yes. No, I was like, no, between
it's both
and Gypsy, and then I covered Hell Camp about the troubled teen industry, like literally, I don't know, less than 2 weeks ago, because that was on the Netflix top 10, and I was like, fuck, it's getting overshadowed by all 3 John Wicks. Oh my God, really, you guys? Like, all 3 John Wicks were on the Netflix top 10. And then Meg 3 or whatever about the big shark came on and kicked Hell Camp right off of the top 10. And I was like, God damn it. Kids getting tortured in the troubled teen industry is so much more important than John Wick and the Meg. But so then I was like, I have to go tell the story so people don't fucking like.
I know.
So people know about it, since Netflix, it was just a blip in the sand. But also that documentary and the troubled teen industry is also very, very much about adults like really failing and traumatizing kids.
Yeah,
So it's been a super fun month of content. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have.
Yeah. That's gonna be fun. Next, we're gonna go tell all your kids that Disneyland burned down. Like it's
and Santa's not real. How dare you? If any, listen.
Careful.
Whoa, yeah, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. Whoa. Okay.
Pump the
Keep
brakes,
going,
sweet
please. Thank you.
cakes.
Sorry,
All
yeah,
right.
okay.
I just called you sweet cakes. Yeah. So Beth says, okay, with a stroke of one stroke of the pen, this judge turned Natalia from an 8-year-old to a 22-year-old, meaning with one stroke of a pen, she is able to drink, drive, and vote. From being 8 to being able to do all of that. I'd have been like, bye, I'm getting myself a 40 and a car, and I'm going to go vote for somebody.
I think on my 18th birthday, I went skydiving and got a tattoo.
Oh, she could also get a tattoo.
And I'm sure I got shit canned publicly on my 21st birthday. Wait a minute. Yes, I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I think all of us, regardless of background, might have gotten shit canned on our 21st birthday.
But did you get in one of those little rickshaws that people drive around on bikes and then really rudely keep going faster as you as this man is trying to take you up a hill in a bicycle? And then get to the 3rd floor of the hotel and throw your fucking phone off of the balcony because fuck everybody?
Well, I didn't have a phone when I was 21 because I was too poor. And it was like, 2003, 2002. And the rickshaw part, no.
Wow, why do you look so poor, Feldon? That was a really bad Anna con artist. I can't remember her last name. Impression.
I don't remember either. So the Barnetts knew. They show reports from 2 different doctors. The Barnetts knew from one doctor that they had placed her age at between 9 and 11 within weeks of getting custody of her, and a dentist had estimated about a month after that she was between 8 and 9. So they knew what her age was, but they say, like, why didn't they have to let the judge know any of this when they were in court? Like, is this perpetrating a fraud? Who wouldn't ask for this kind of documentation? Oh, you want to change someone's age by 15 years? Sounds great.
No, literally, what the fuck was this judge doing? I think I feel like they're all in cahoots. But why is the real question.
I don't know.
No, I know.
Hold on. No notice was provided to Natalia. There wasn't a hearing with her present. She had no representation. So the opinion at this point is that the Barnetts have won. And there are messages they show from Michael to Christine saying, everything will be so awesome in August. Just you wait and see. If she gets put away, we're going to take a week off someplace. Like, it just does not give an absolute fuck, right?
Here's the part of the story where I just start laughing because my brain can't fucking handle any of this anymore. My brain's just like going into like, it's like, I'm going to take a vacation now because this, you know what, Michael? We're coming too. Me and the brain, we need a vacation from your fucking shenanigans. You goddamn hooligans. No, that's too nice of a name. They're street rats.
Yeah. No, because they call Aladdin a street rat, and he was actually a nice dude.
Okay.
And I wouldn't put Aladdin and Michael Barnett in the same category.
I was thinking of actual rats.
Like animal rats.
Yeah, like
the way I say rats.
Actually, you know what? Like rats are really fucking smart, actually. And I
saw
really cute one and in a video, and I was really grossed out by the fact that it had its tail and it was what it was. I couldn't do that, but like it was really smart. And I was like, wow.
Smarter than Michael Barnett, maybe.
Probably.
So,
he's not super sharp and he's really dramatic. He'd be really good on like a soap. I feel like he brings that level of drama.
Oh, he's
like Days of Our Lives or something.
he is pretty dramatic. Like it's uncomfortable to watch him.
It is. It's really cringe.
It's like watching Michael Scott in his improv class in The Office. Like it's pretty it's pretty terrible.
Wait. You remember this? What did Michael just say to you? He has a gun. After the teacher said, "Michael, get rid of all your guns." Do you remember that?
Yeah, and he's like, "What did we talk about last time?" Because he's Michael Scarn. Anyway,
yeah, okay.
Natalia is released from LaRue, and the Barnetts didn't pick her up, so they sent her to a halfway house full of adults. And Natalia's like, I don't know what to do here. They were drinking, drugs, smoking, and cussing. She doesn't understand any of this and feels super scared. So they cut to Michael in a 2022 interview, throwing Christine under the bus a little, which made me happy. Christine calls Michael and says, "We need to go pick up Natalia. If something happens to the daughter, bleh, why can't I say the? If something happens to the daughter of the Christine Barnett, then she would be famous for her daughter dying of an overdose, like bad famous."
Hold on. Christine called herself Christine Barnett?
Correct.
Hey, Fallon, this is the Ashley Love Richards. No, the one. Yeah. The only. In case there was any confusion. Yeah, it's me. It's the Ashley Love Richards. You know what, Christine Barnett? Whatever. Keep going.
I can't.
Fallon. I'm sorry. I'm gonna shut it. I promise. Keep trucking.
So Michael's like, she didn't care about her health or safety. She just cared that the saint had a daughter who died of an OD and didn't want that to happen. Like, she didn't want it to happen. That he calls her like self-referring as the saint. She didn't want people to think that the saint had a daughter that died of an OD. Which she wasn't dying of an OD, but she was probably worried if somebody like kills her in the house that, people would think that. They took Natalia back to the house for like a night, but then the next day she found out that they were taking her to live in an apartment. And the next day they drop her off at the Westfield apartment to live. She's like, "I'm 8. I've never been taught to do anything, and I was lost."
Sorry, I can't. She
didn't know where she was, and they expected her to just live by herself. She didn't know what else to do, but she was young, and all she knew was like she wanted to be with parents, even though they hadn't treated her well. She said, "I wasn't really liked by my neighbors, and I didn't really know why at the time." She said, "I had no boundaries, so I was just like wandering into people's houses to find food, and I didn't know that wasn't acceptable because I was a little kid, and I didn't, and they thought I was this like 22-year-old woman just walking into their homes to steal their food." And she's like, "I didn't know what was right or wrong in living alone in an apartment because, again, for the 9th fucking time, I was 8." That's my words, not hers, but I'm voicing it for her. So they've interviewed this cranky lady who is a former neighbor named Sue McCallum. She basically says, "I still believe Natalia is 22. To this day, I believe Natalia is 22 because they proved she was 22 and she was a bad girl."
You know what, Sue? You and Christine should be best friends and go fuck the fuck right off.
Right.
You sound like you have similar values. You fucking cunt. They're all cunts. Except Natalia, we love you.
I saw a meme one time that was like, it was something about somebody asking me to do something, and it was like a guy saying, "So you're going to want to go all the way that direction and just fuck all the way off." Something like that. And I was like,
if y'all ever get asked directions by Michael or Christine, that's the answer you give them.
A probose response. We'll link that meme somewhere. So she said, "I misplaced her for a little girl at first, but I can tell that she wasn't a little girl because she didn't act like a little girl." She said, she said that Natalia told her, "I'm 22 and I don't need my mother." And she said, now Natalia is saying things to try to get herself to look good. And people,
Mhm,
Natalia
mhm,
said, well,
mhm.
people start reporting all these inappropriate things that I had done, and they had to get so much on her before they could finally evict her. The neighbor
Dude,
that
did you see the video where Michael is grilling this 8-year-old, 9-year-old about where she got these donuts that he finds in the cabinet? Dude, it's in the previous season. They're taking all these videos of Natalia all the time, right? To like, for as damning evidence. In this video, he's like, "Where did you get these donuts?" And she's like, "Oh, I found them. They were just in the cabinet." And he's like, "No, these are from like these are fresh. Like, where did you get them?" He's like aggressively grilling her about where she got the donuts. Probably a neighbor gave them to her or
yeah.
something. And she's like all scared, saying that she found them in the cupboard. And he's like, "You're lying." And knowing that she was fucking 8 in that video, and he's like yelling at her about where she got these donuts because you guys aren't fucking feeding her really. You're taking her grocery shopping here and there, but she can't like get food on her own.
I can't. Uh, the neighbor says, well, I knew another reason we knew she wasn't 22 is because she was inappropriate with a little boy. And Natalia's like, okay, wait a minute. This is a situation that has been blown out of proportion. I was a little kid. He was a little kid. So we were like rolling down this grassy hill together. And then we were
Mhm.
having like a tickle fight. We were just like wrestling around and tickling each other, like being kids together. And she said suddenly her dad, the kid's dad, and all these people start running over and screaming at her. So she's terrified and jumps up and runs away because they said that she was getting like too close to his private areas. And the
Cuz they all
neighbors,
think she's cuz they all think she's 22. They all think she's an adult.
yeah. And she's like, we were just being kids. Like he was another kid I could finally play with. Um, Natalia would go, Sue's like, she would walk around and talk to all these men. They would let her in and let her stay for hours. And Natalia, and this is the situation that makes me so scared. Natalia says one time she went to this older gentleman's apartment and he invited her in, and she realized as soon as she got in there that he was not dressed. She like tries to like change the subject and be like, so what you watching on TV? And he's like, he shows her, and it's like a very sexual video on TV. That's the way she described it. Natalia's like, I don't want to watch that. I'm just going to go. And he's like, okay, you can watch it. And she's like, I don't want to. Can we change it? So he keeps trying to convince her to watch this movie. And she finally says, I'm going to go. And she leaves. And she says, I was really uncomfortable. Like later she says, what if I was, SA by this guy? Sue, they cut back to Sue, the nosy neighbor, and she says, this was a very this is the way she writes this guy off. This was a very flirty gentleman. He got reported to the office a couple times. Like one lady was going to check her mail and he was just standing out there in the nude. And that's just
That's
that's just
just
the way he is.
that crazy old guy, but this fucking child is the devil. Okay, Sue. Ugh.
She says that that's another reason, though, that Natalia must be lying is because Natalia, should have known to go report him or speak up against this guy. Like if she was scared of him, like
I'm
not
gonna
if she's
slap the
8.
shit out of Sue. I'm going to Lafayette. No,
She
that's not
says,
where she is. So
she
nobody
says,
tell me where Sue is.
oh my God, I know. Sue says Natalia just didn't care about what he was doing. Like she was fine with it. She also says that Natalia used to talk about being with guys and sex and things.
Sue is also the kind of woman who goes, "Well, what was she wearing when women get raped?" That's who Sue is. That's exactly who Sue is.
She's talking about a man that exposes his genitals in public and then says it's the little girl's fault that she didn't complain about him and that's why he's doing it. Like that's the level we're at with Sue. Thank God it's the last time we talk to Sue.
Thank God.
Ugh. They cut to a nice scene of her with Antoine, who, says there's a lot of unfortunate things that happened to her and, how much of a shame it is that anyone is capable of doing that.
Hold on. I got to take a comedy break. Sophia just said, How is there a friendly neighborhood pedo in all these stories just to top it off?
Just why not? You know?
It's not all just the worst already. Let's bring in the friendly neighborhood pedo that everybody knows is a fucking, at least extremely inappropriate with women, but that's just how he is. Oh, Bob, you know, he showed me his dick once and I said, "Oh, Bob, you put that away."
You put that away, Bob. Ugh. I can't. So the Barnetts think they're free of her and they're starting to move on with their lives. There's like pictures of them. It looks like on some sort of vacation or outing. No Natalia. So the Department of Child Services sends the Barnetts a notice that Natalia is a dependent because of her disability and she is their responsibility. So real quick, they have their lawyer whip up a letter to the Department of Children's Services that basically says, thanks, that's really not your jurisdiction anymore because she's an adult. And DCS responds and says, yeah, guys, her age doesn't matter because she has a disability, which means she can't be left alone and she is your dependent.
Right, which is so fucking frustrating because that's why Christine and Michael ended up getting off, like why they ended up getting acquitted of their charges is because they were never able to bring in any proof into the fucking case that Natalia was a child. They could only bring in the fact that they had
aged
failed her. As no, not even that they had aged her up. The case could only be about whether or not they had abandoned
A dependent
who, and the court never got to hear that dependent was also a small child, and that's been proved by multiple medical professionals.
It is unbelievable. So the prosecutor says that her conditions obviously limit her mobility and ability to move her arms, hold things. And she says, like, not all people who are disabled are considered dependents or will be dependent on care from someone, but Natalia clearly was left in a situation that was not okay for her. And you see her like in her current life, like she has accommodations for herself in every room and like small chairs and like stools to get up at the counter and all sorts of things for herself, which I don't even think they left her in this apartment.
Also, no, you're correct. Also, when you see pictures and videos of Natalia now, she looks like a grown ass fucking adult.
Yes.
With dwarfism.
Right.
When she is a child, and you look at those pictures and videos, she looks like a fucking child with dwarfism. These are very different fucking people when you look at the pictures. One is very, very, very clearly a child. One is very clearly an adult. It's mind blowing.
And you can see, like, if you have, for those who might be listening to have children, you know there's like this very definitive age, like maybe 5 or 6, and they finally start to lose that like last little bit of baby puffiness in their cheeks, and they start getting that older look to them, and you can see that very like baby structure in her face in like her early pictures and videos. Like there's no questioning that she's a child. Not
and
at
like
all.
I said, a super cute one. Which
oh my God.
It's like it's not like I could be mean to an ugly kid, you know, but like she's so cute. It's what what I don't feel like I'm adding literally anything to this conversation except for like
it's one
cunt.
of those ones that's like, so I mean, cunt was new, so good job, well done. It's one of those ones that's ridiculous. Like, it's so bad. All you can do is laugh uncomfortably and just
and sigh in
be
exasperation
mad.
and just fucking want to slap the shit out of Christine and Michael and Sue and the fucking family doctor and the goddamn judge. And
if we were in olden times, we'd be right at home. We'd be sighing, get my smelling salts. We'd be right at home, just sighing. And
where's my fainting couch?
Where's my fainting? That's what I need.
Where the fuck?
Someone to catch me. So around, they're saying basically, you know, Christine's plan is failing every step of the way in some way. So they the what I didn't include was they also when they released Natalia from the mental facility, the mental facility was like, there's nothing wrong with her, to the point where we don't even recommend meds or treatment. Like, she just needs to leave.
Dude, don't you think it's weird how they so many fuck. I guess you didn't watch the documentary, but I did summarize this in my update. So many people from the mental institution who they interviewed were like, yeah, she would say really crazy shit and like gave like really, really wild accounts of Natalia's behavior. And some of it they said was that she was really sexual. And we're gonna learn some adorable information in the next episode. And usually children aren't sexual unless they've been exposed to sex too early. So these people who are like, yeah, you don't have to be a mental health professional to work in a psych ward. That's actually probably maybe you do. I don't know. Probably not. Not to do the basics. Fuck, I don't know. It honestly probably changes. But the way they, because this documentary is garbage. It's garbage in the sense that it's so trying to like keep you guessing.
Is she? Isn't she?
Yeah, it's like, no, she's an adult who was a child. Now let's make that super fucking clear to everyone so she can get the help that she needs and deserves. Investigation discovery.
Well, also something they don't mention, kids are fucking creepy, man. They say creepy shit all the time. I've read so many Reddit threads where kids will walk up to you and be like, I dreamed last night what your insides look like. And like, it's just because kids say weird fucking shit. Like,
that is weird.
My kids went through a 2-week period where they didn't want to sleep with the lights off because they thought something called the human rats were gonna get them. And we were like, what are human rats? We were like, don't say human rats. It was like a 2-week monster. And it was the weirdest thing. They were like, they're rats, human-sized rats, and they're in the shadows. And we were like, where did you come up with this? Kids are just fucking creepy. So add a kid that's got, what happened to her for the 6 years before she came to them, plus the trauma in her house. Like, she's going to say weird shit. That's what kids do.
Yeah. I say weird shit. And
well,
I'm pretty grown.
This is yes and yes.
Yes and. Are we in an improv class? And
yes and.
I didn't know.
No. So this is the toward the end of the episode. They are asking Michael in one of his depositions if Christine checks in on Natalia, and Michael's like, oh yes, we check in on her in person. Around the same time, Natalia recalls that she had been taking the meds that Christine, hold on a second, I'm going to mute myself.
I just want to make it very clear that I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and it has vibrated twice, and I want people to know that I did not toot. In case anybody heard that vibration and is like, did she toot? I didn't, you guys. It was my phone. I swear. It really was, though. Go. Oh my God.
Okay.
Stop. Don't let this moment linger.
Oh, well, you were talking about.
Did you have to let it linger? Oh, there's the music. We haven't had it. You know I'm such a fool for you. This is Michael's song to Christine. You've got me wrapped around your finger. Did you have to let it linger? Did you have to? Did you have to? Did you have to let it linger? Okay, thanks. I feel better.
All right. So it was a longer excerpt than I usually am treated to. So all right. Round of applause. So where was I? Natalia's recalling one particular instance where She was taking she was at her apartment. She took her medicine that Christine had told her she had to take because of her mental stuff. That's the way she refers to it. The medicine made her pretty drowsy, so she fell asleep. And at some point, Christine comes into her apartment, demands to know why you're still asleep. She's like, "Why are you still sleeping?" And it's like, she said at this point, it's like maybe like sometime in the afternoon or something. I mean, I'm an 8-year-old in an apartment. Maybe that's why I'm sleeping. So
There's nothing else to do.
Christine, the first thing Christine does is say, did you take your meds? And Natalia's like, yeah, that's why I was sleeping, because I just took them. And Christine's like, well, I don't believe that you took it. And she shakes out another one. She hands it to Natalia with water and then turns away from her and tells Natalia she has to take it. So Natalia takes now a second pill of the same med. By the way, a medicine for adults, and she's an 8-year-old, so she's taken 2. Christine turns back and says, I didn't see you take that one. I want you to take another one while I'm watching. Hands her a third pill, makes her take the third pill, and then finally she gets done taking it. Christine leaves, and Natalia said she starts like walking toward the bathroom, and at this point she's like, she stands up in a little while later. She's stumbling. She can't like walk straight. She's super, super dizzy. She fell on her way to the bathroom. Couldn't really see straight. She gets super dizzy, falls asleep coming out of her bathroom, and then wakes up and it's like she's blacked out till like 2 a.m. She says, looking back, it felt like Christine tried to overdose her, and she realizes that maybe she could have even died that day. She was 7 or 8 years old. Exactly. She was 7 or 8 years old, already taking an adult drug, and she took it 3 times in one day. You're on mute. You're on mute, Ashley. You're on mute.
Nuts. Hi, I'm back.
Hi.
If anybody was wondering why Fallon said exactly, it's because somebody in our chat, what's up, Phantom Shadow Song, said, my God, she could have died. Absolutely. Yeah, and Christine was probably trying to fucking murder her, honestly.
Well, that's what they're sort of indicating is
Yeah.
like, if she's not getting her plan, like she's going to take Natalia out, because so far now she's been able to age her, but the aging didn't have the results she wanted because it didn't make her not their dependent, and they couldn't commit her to a psych ward. And clearly she hasn't ever done anything egregious enough to get Natalia like locked up, because as Natalia said, like, I'm not actually a murderer who puts pledge in people's coffee. Like, so,
yeah.
And that was pretty much the end of the episode.
Wow, great job in like keeping that tight. Yeah, girl.
Tight.
You kept that tight.
Oh, thanks, baby.
Yeah, no, but really, yeah, an hour that's a sweet spot. Good job.
Thanks.
Oh, wow. Thanks for taking one for the team, because I was like, I don't want to talk about both of these stories today, because I'm going to talk about 5 and 6 on Sunday, and then I'm not going to talk about adults heavily failing children and murdering them, because Gypsy Rose 100% would have been murdered by Dee Dee. It sounds like Natalia was in very much danger from Christine, and sounds like Christine probably would have murdered her ass if she had the chance, and like she probably tried. And a bunch of kids die in the troubled teen industry, which I know seems really random, but you guys have been discussing how I've been covering the troubled teen industry, and Hell Camp came out on Netflix, which was about wilderness, quote, therapy camps, more child torture. So I'm getting like, I feel like I'm kind of good.
Yeah,
I'm
set. I'm gonna figure out how to apply some brain bleach next week and just not watch one of these for a while.
Oh, okay. I just went like that, and that did I meant like get some bleach like down my throat, but it very much was like it was a very sexual gesture.
It was, and she didn't mean that. It's already
What,
For
you
the
guys? I'm just putting bleach down my throat
for
because
the
these
listeners
stories.
in podcast land, use your imagination.
Yeah, I went.
Or just edit that
I
out.
went double-handed, double fist. And Renee asks, why does Natalia make me uneasy? Renee, because the producers of this documentary and well, because Christine and Michael Barnett have worked real hard to make you feel that way. And the producers of this documentary have worked real hard to make you think, I don't feel like I should be uneasy because they're giving me proof. But then they keep saying things that make me feel uneasy because the production team wants to ride this out for as long as they can and milk Natalia's story as much as they can because they're
Right.
also dirty fucks. I mean, I'm watching it, but also this is the only time Natalia's been able to tell her story so far. And I think probably she signed up to be on this documentary. You don't have rights unless you're a producer on the documentary. Even then, sometimes you don't, about how you look in a documentary at all. And then you're generally bound to an NDA. And she had a gag order on her legally for quite a while. So even though I think investigation discovery is trash, I do think that while they've tried to keep some, ooh, is she or isn't she in our minds, I think it's very, 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 very clear
Well, I also think
that she was a child.
at the end of the day, sadly, kids do get psychiatric disorders like adults. So kids get depression, they get anxiety, they even get thoughts of like unaliving themselves at young ages. And it's sad that that happens to kids, but a parent's job is to not go, oh, my kid is broken, therefore they're evil. The parent's job is to say, this is a child with a problem and a brain that doesn't know how to regulate this yet. It is my job to fulfill my duty as a parent and get them the help they need in an understanding way. If your child scares you, fine, go to a professional and talk to them about how to handle that. But like the answer is not, well, I have a problem child. Let me age them by 15 years and kick them out of the house. There's medical documentation, regardless of how Natalia acts. There is medical documentation that she was a child. Like that's a fact that cannot be refuted at this point.
Yeah, and trauma makes people act weird. Like I have
Right.
complex PTSD, and to this day I still have a lot of behaviors that I'm working on, and like traits and reactions and stuff that aren't ideal. But that's what happens when you've had the system and individuals and your biological parents and your 3 sets of adopted parents and the fucking doctors and the judges and literally every single person who's ever come into your fucking life, because I'm sketched on the mans. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to keep it to myself, but I feel a little bit sketched there. And then the producers, it's like, who the fuck has her best interest at heart and is putting that first? Anybody? I don't know that it's anybody.
And
sadly.
Also, like one of the symptoms of certain types of conditions people have, including like trauma and depression, is a very flat affect, meaning it might be creepy because she just like talks very factually to the camera, but some people, as a response or depending on your development, like you don't react to things super emotionally. I don't react to things super emotionally, but I'm not a psychopath, right?
Right. And then
Like,
I'm like the opposite, is I do react really strongly emotionally, and then I could be a fucking psychopath too, because it's like you don't react enough, so you're some sort of sociopath. I
Right.
react too much, so I'm like out of my mind, right? So it's just like,
yeah.
oh yeah, where do we strike the balance that makes us societally acceptable? One of my big things is that like I'm full of rage, so much rage, and I think rightfully so, because look at the shit that I talk about all day. The world is a fucking cesspool that's enraging, and if I wasn't
Right.
angry, I'd think there'd be something wrong with me. But also, I know that my anger is a coping mechanism that I've developed over many, many years because it
Right?
has worked. Because
Yep.
if I'm angry, then I don't have to feel super sad and like I'm dying inside. Anger is a more powerful feeling emotion. So if you're seeing interviews and you're like, oh, wow, she seems really angry and unhinged, it's like, yes, maybe, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense.
Right. And it's like when people like cry at funerals and they're like, yeah, because after a certain point your body can only process so much and it's got to come out somewhere. Some people it comes out by laughing, some people it comes out by crying. Like mine doesn't really do that. I'm the person that's going to go, wow, that makes me so mad. And I'm like seething inside, like a ragey fire is dwells within me. But then I'm like, I'm so mad. And Ash is like, what do you mean you're so mad? Put like a
Are
mad
you?
emoji. Are you really mad
Are
though? I'm
you?
like,
Yeah,
but
you didn't even
yes.
put an emoji to back that up, so I don't.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So anyway.
What's up from a poet? Hey, Brian. He says, I've been pissed off all my life. I know the struggle well, Ash. You are not alone. Thank you. And like Sophia said, fuck yeah. After that story, she gets to be angry.
Oh, yes.
I have not had, I'm not trying to trauma compare. Listen, I've had my own shit, but like, I would be a boiling pot of rage, just like following everybody around trying to fucking bitch slap them in rage, but I couldn't because I have dwarfism and I don't have the fucking physical ability to hurt full-sized adults. Right? Anyways, okay, you guys, that's our time.
Our time.
We are going to be back in 15 minutes right here to cover episode 4. Thanks for being with us, you guys. I know it's been a ride, and I hope that hearing us tell it makes it
Takes the edge
a little
off
bit more palatable. Yeah, because watching it's enraging.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
guys.
We'll give you the layer, the extra layer right
Yeah.
here.
So thanks
All
for
right.
listening to the podcast. Thanks for watching the YouTube if that's what you did. And remember to visit our website, tsfuthepodcast.com, where you can find everything that's so fucked up. Social media, where you can listen. You can find our Patreon there. Don't you hate ads? I do. You don't have to have them on Patreon. What? You get stickers and a keychain and a shout out and a thank you card and ad-free episodes and access to 150 episodes that are not on the regular feed, bonus monthly episodes where I learn about the Bible and some other stuff I can't think of. It's crazy, you guys. It's the value is
Bananas.
I was going to do some like kind of car commercial like give it away, but I don't. I'm my brain's dead. It can't process anymore, so it's gonna go rest for 14 minutes, and
14
we
minutes.
will be back, you guys.
See you soon.
And if you're listening to the podcast, and if you're listening to the podcast, and I have decided not to edit this, then if you're like, what? It means we'll, I'm just gonna tell the editor to, or I'll edit that part out.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.